What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's Off the Air. Drizzy is on a boat. He's not T-Pain, nor is he the Lonely Island, but he is on a boat this week, so he's absent from today's show. But we are still stoked to talk about NXT, and if Drizzy's going to be gone, we needed a suitable replacement. And we looked hard, and we looked around a ton, and we found ourselves deep in the heart of Philadelphia and deep in the heart of opinions with our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm doing all right. I walked through the prohibited portal that is wrestling off the air, and I'm looking forward to talking about NXT with my throwback crew.
I am stoked to get into it myself. And like you said, it's Thursday on a Tuesday. And if it's a Tuesday, this is why I've been asking Ben for the Chicago Bulls intro music, because and now from the DMV on show number 2 today, the Tuesday Night Delight himself. Shad, what's going on?
Throw them twos up, man. I am now Mr. Tuesday himself. Y'all catch me on the daily reviewing Raw, and now we're going to close the night off with NXT. A fun show. And yeah, man, the throwback team is here on a Tuesday. So don't forget, we are also still here on Throwback Thursday this week as well. But let's get into it, man.
Yeah, this is now today Tuesday, and we'll do Throwback Thursday on Thursday. We're gonna stick with current events as best we can, despite the fact that we are
Sure.
totally capable of sending ourselves into a time machine at any moment during the course of this show. You never know what might happen today. We got good friends over here in the comments. Coach 23 with y'all seem in a good place. I'm stealing it from Cody. And then Bobby Petito. Hello, guys. Coach 23, is this Throwback Thursday? That's classic. Bobby's got his twos up. It is Wednesday morning in Manila from Coach 23. And then twos up, and then it's Throwback Thursday, Tuesday. Yes,
Are we
let's get
choosing?
into
Are we covering
tonight's
3 days? 3 days at once?
that's a lot of
Technically.
days. My brain's a little bit scrambled, but let's talk about tonight's episode of NXT as we always do here on Off the Air. Really fun one. Forbidden Door still totally open, or shot as we established a few weeks back here, the unavailable avenue over on Tuesday nights. That's what we're calling it, right? I feel like if we keep saying it, it might catch on, right? If we
Yeah, I
just
like
keep
it.
saying
We
it.
need a We need a trademark it, bro.
Well, that's neither here nor there. You live close to DC. The office is right there, dude.
Run
Just
to
head
the
on
trademark.
over, sign it up. It'll be perfect.
Nah, for
Um,
sure. That's funny.
I'm sorry. That okay. Let's talk about the main event of the evening, though. Out of the gates, let's talk Javon Evans, a guy that I've spotlighted on Sunday Night Spotlight. I've spotlighted over here on Off the Air. It's a guy we've covered often. He's the number one contender early in the show. They finished the show with him against All Ego, Ethan Page, an absolute veteran.
Mhm.
Forbidden Door, unavailable avenue, whatever you'd like to call it, wide open. Javon Evans, man, it never gets old, and it freaks me out how young that kid is. How in the
Yeah.
world is he so seasoned? I don't get it. I somebody explain that one to me at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
The
And
end
then
of this match,
obviously
though, is super interesting, Shad.
we
We're gonna
you gotta definitely also talk about the beginning also correlates to the ending just so people know that as well.
well, then I will toss this to you, by the way, Shad. Break the whole thing down for me.
Well, not just so y'all know, because I know we normally over here we do go straight to the main event. There's a bit of storytelling that did happen in the beginning of it, and we'll break that down more in the details. But Javon Evans winning the battle royal tonight, becoming the number one contender for Trick Williams' title. What I would presumably think is that Heat Wave coming up in a couple weeks. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But main event, man. Ethan Page being upset about the whole ordeal of being eliminated as soon as he was, tied to everything with Oro Mensa and the Metaphor feud. But yeah, man. If I'm gonna be frank with you, I'm a big Trick Williams guy. He's one of my favorite superstars on NXT. Javon Evans gave Ethan Page a lot better of a match than Trick Williams did, and I think that has a lot more to do with how Javon Evans is a competitor more than it is about Ethan Page or Trick Williams. The kid is substantially like athletic. His athleticism is off the roof, like jumping off the roof. But he's also a very good, fluid in-ring worker. Like he's got abilities of being able to understand in-ring psychology that a lot of other superstars his age don't grasp that young. And it's one of those cases where I think he's gonna, like you said, progressively gonna get better and better and better as time goes on while he's in his business. But it's like it's one of those things, man. He's really just he's this good, so new into it, and it speaks volumes. NXT sees him as a potential superstar, a future main eventer, a future North American NXT champion, whatever it may be, because you don't put people in that position that early. Like he's just brand spanking new NXT, so another solid bout. The ending has me intrigued because we're intertwining many different feuds, and then we also have the core friendship of Trick and Javon, but they're also going to be going against each other. We might switch the main event at Heat Wave. It may be a multi-person match. But I loved it, man. I thought it was a great main event. Ethan Page, this is what he needed, man. He needed a credible victory like that, and he needed a good showing like that. And I think as time goes by, you're gonna see him have good footing in NXT, and it's gonna be beneficial for him.
You make so many great points there, but there's one thing that really stood out to me that I loved that you mentioned, which is Javon Evans and Trick's sort of spoken yet unspoken partnership, right? They're clearly friendly. They're friends, right? But they're not a team. It's not like Trick and Mello. It's not Trick Mello Gang. It's not a knockoff,
Yeah,
right? They're just buddies. They get along. And that's fair, right? They're
yeah,
coworkers with a mutual respect. And the way that that ties into the rest of this in tonight's main event is where I think a lot of the brilliance lies. Javon Evans, we talked about his youth. You brought up so many great points about the way he sold during this match. Dude, this guy is on another
yeah.
planet and
The rib.
being so
He
young.
he's still selling the ribs from last week,
Yep.
like from the face, like him hitting the table. So
I mean, to even have the trust in from Shawn Michaels and from the booking team to have him carry over an injury like that at his age and at this stage of his development to do that a week, 2 weeks later, carry the storyline over, have the taped ribs, wrestle around the taped ribs, sell the taped ribs, to put that trust in Javon Evans, I think is nothing short of outstanding, and it's a testament to how good this dude really is. Anthony, were you as impressed? Obviously, this is one of your first weeks on Off the Air, but we know how much you watch NXT, and you've seen a ton. We know your expertise in TNA. You've seen a ton of All Ego Ethan Page. What were your thoughts on his matchup here? First and foremost, with Javon Evans, and then everything that sort of came with it.
Yeah, Javon Evans is one of those rare talents that NXT has been doing a phenomenal job of finding these talents. Almost diamonds in a rough. And like you said, Clark, how did he get so good so soon? Obviously, there's natural talent there. Also, he's being molded by arguably the GOAT in this industry, Shawn Michaels. Without a doubt, Shawn was great at selling and consistency and storytelling. So you could see him taking a special interest in Javon and helping him get even further along than he normally probably would be if he didn't have that guidance by Shawn Michaels. Um, I think it's a great move to showcase him by winning the Battle Royal, possibly getting the world title, the NXT Championship title shot, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's multi-man, whatever. I think it's a good move. Ethan Page, I've been a big fan of his since the very first time I saw him in Evolve. I think that guy has a ton of talent, and one of the best things that he's good at is he knows how to get people over in the ring. Like, he knows how to get younger talent over. Even if he beats them, the talent looks better than they did before they entered the match with him. He's very good at that. I absolutely do think this was the better match over the Trick Williams match. I think the Trick Williams match underdelivered. And I think it was extra evident because it was such a solid battleground card for the rest of it. So the main event didn't feel the same way the other matches did. But I am curious to see where this goes. Obviously, earlier in the night, it started with the Battle Royal, which we saw both two TNA people cross that line, in Joe Hendry and Kazarian. But, Javon outlasted everybody. He lasted TNA people and the NXT people. The future is very bright for that kid.
I couldn't agree more. And I love the way you mentioned that too. Shawn Michaels, you can't give enough compliments.
You can't quantify what he brings there.
The influence he's had on so many of these. Coach 23 has a great comment here. He said Shawn Michaels found two guys with so much raw potential, Obafemi and Javon Evans. I would agree with that. Those two. I don't think it's just those two. I'd add Kalani Jordan to that bunch. And I would add a lot of names in the women's division as well.
Braun Breaker during his era too.
Breaker, although Breaker was there, I think Breaker, because Breaker, there's still a little
Breaker was
NXT
there during
2.0.
Sean was in charge.
No, I know he was, but to me, when Sean got hot, was post 2.0.
Well, that was once the bad influence was away.
I think Pritchard was running the. Pritchard and Vince had a heavy hand in the 2.0 stuff, though.
Well, yeah. I will say that Wale song was pretty fire. Yeah. It was fun at first. Yeah. I really liked the song. Downtown, whatever. It was good. It was catchy. But then the rest of it was, that was not gonna be it at all. Okay. Let's talk about the Battle Royal, though. Let's talk about the beginning of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back in time for a second here.
Mm-hmm.
So they battled and they royaled, and Javon Evans ends up in the main event. Obviously, we covered the main event first out of the gate. So, spoiler here, we're the anti-spoiler guys. We spoiled something. That's my bad. Totally didn't even think of it that way. But Javon Evans gets the big old W in this one. Anthony, I'm going to go right back to you. Yeah. What's your opinion on battle royals in general? I thought this one was pretty well executed across the board, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's funny. I mean, I love the Rumble. The Rumble is one of the best matches of the year, but they're not all in the ring at the same time. The Battle Royal, they're all in the ring at the same time. They can either be great or complete garbage. This one surprised me in the sense, it did what it needed to do. It was a little slow in the beginning, other than, Joe Hendry getting eliminated immediately, which was a bit of a shocking move. But I also think it was surprising Kazarian lasted as long as he did and eliminated people, which, that's something that, typically the few times WWE has worked with other people, they don't really like their people losing to TNA people or to other companies' people. So I thought Kazarian lasting as long as he did was really kind of cool, especially because this is a guy that's been in the business a long time, had a very brief run in WWE years ago, Mr. Velocity. But now he's kind of getting a showcase on a hot brand on NXT, which I thought was a nice touch. I thought it was a great showing for a number of talents. You kind of add it more to the storytelling with different aspects of things, depending on who got eliminated and by who. So I thought that was good. And again, like we said, it showcased Javon Evans outlasting all these people. And the smart thing, like I said, you're setting up stories that will continue outside of that battle royal for people that didn't win.
Yeah.
So the battle royal did exactly what it is designed to do, and it elevated talent and continued stories, which it shows again why NXT is so good at this.
I agree with everything except for one thing, Anthony, and that
Mhm.
is we said his name and he appeared
And you missed it.
and then he disappeared. It was so fast. It
Mhm.
Yeah.
happened too fast.
Mhm.
It
Hmm.
happened too fast. Shad, obviously you saw the Battle Royal too. Did you expect more TNA entrants? Did you expect once they
Yeah.
said his name and he appeared
Nah,
that we'd see a deeper
it.
run?
I think it. So if you break it down like this, if you're breaking it down as a battle royal, it was a solid battle royal. I think they had a lot of great wrestlers tied to it. I think the latter part of it, once obviously all the, you know, fat is trimmed off and there's less people and people are able to kind of work and coincide and do stuff, but it did what it did. Like Anthony said, storylines are made, but a little underwhelming. And I'll say that because we were expecting a battle royal that was teased by the gentleman that got invited to some cookout or something. I don't know his name, but that guy. He said that this is gonna be an opportunity that different brands will pop up. It happened. I mean, Joe Hendry, the music came in. You see how much of a viral sensation and the superstar he is. That was a dope moment. But like you said, he was in and out. And I think it is tied to him and Kazarian's rivalry feud that they're having in TNA. And it may give people a purpose to want to watch TNA for it. But I I have a little bit of issue with that because you got to grasp the moment and you got to showcase the superstar more so than build a storyline of that. Now I will say they had an off air thing that was on the Twitter page when him and Michael was arguing. So I don't think this will be the last time you see Joe Hendry, but I did want to see him a lot longer in the battle royal than just mere few seconds. I thought that was kind of Frankie Kazarian being there is dope. I think Frankie Kazarian he's a vet in this business, and him kind of being able to be on back in the WWE and in NXT after all these years was cool. But I was hoping to see a little bit more, man. I wanted to see maybe a Trey Miguel, right? Maybe a Mustafa Ali, uh, maybe a Josh Alexander. But the door is not closed, so we might be able to get them later on. But a Moose, yeah, a lot of people, man. They got some hitters over there. So, but needless to say,
Nick
it was a solid
Nemeth,
battle royal. I'm glad. I'm. I mean, we seen Nick Nemeth in
trash
NXT
by
already.
negligence.
Oh, we saw her get
Wait,
smoked
what?
last time. We don't care about her. I don't want to see her do anything.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Sean. I had
No,
to.
but no, but I'm glad the young OG got a victory, man, and he got a lot of quality. This was his night, so I'm happy for him.
I liked it too, and I thought if you're gonna do a battle royal, it made a lot of sense the way that it played out, and especially given the end of the night.
Mhm.
Obviously, we do our moments of the night at the end of this show, so I'm
Mhm.
gonna save this
Yeah.
conversation for
Mhm.
later. Bookmark that one, my friends, and we'll move
Uh-huh.
along to the next topic really quickly. Let's talk about Jasmine Nix, JC Jane, Roxanne Perez, Lola Vice, Metaphor. Three teams, one ring. Shad, break the whole thing down for me. I mean, we got Lola Vice in there, one of my faves,
Yeah.
fresh off a big victory, on her way to the world title picture, or no?
Yeah, I think we're alluding to it, and obviously this is one of those cases that we based off of last week where they had that in-ring interaction, and they got the win. Lola and Roxanne got the win. Lola is trying to basically tell her like, hey, My eyes is on that belt, but like I'm here to be a partner, and we gonna do what we need to do today. And Roxanne was kind of hesitant throughout the beginning of it, and after the match, strikes Lola. So I think this is a good way to build that storyline. I would assume this is the Heat Wave match. It's a good one, man. I think Lola Vice is a superstar that has gained a lot of traction throughout these last few weeks, especially her last two showings with Shayna and Natalia. And now you got her as a hot commodity. Roxanne is the champ. It's one of those cases where you you can you can split hairs on it, man. It may be a case where Lola Vice could elevate, become champion, and then you might get Roxanne ready to go to the main roster. Or this could be another tally for Roxanne as she goes on a great run that she's in. So I'm definitely excited for it. Um, Decent tag match. Um, I, I I came away with one thing though. If you know Alba and Isla are the tag champs, and we truly are gonna have these titles rotate on any show, I think we need to have them do some stuff in NXT because I
Yeah.
truly believe the only place a women's tag division could thrive in the WWE is in NXT because they give the women a strong amount of TV time and booking, and they actually have teams. Like Jasmine Nix and JC Jane is a team. Metaphor, that's the match I want to see actually, because I
Yep.
think Lash and Jakara looked really good tonight. I think Lash and Jakara versus Unholy Union would be a hell of a feud, but we'll have to wait and see.
So I agree with you on so much about the women's tag titles. And one of the key things is, and I'll say this, so there's two sets of men's tag titles. There is no
Yeah.
men's tag division. There is a women's tag division across all three brands.
Mhm.
There is. It exists.
Yeah,
There's
there is.
enough relevant teams. There's enough relevant talent. There's enough
Mhm.
depth to develop rivalries and tell stories. We're making up
Just gotta
tag
give it time.
teams. We are making up tag teams on the men's side, on both brands, to get people going or whatever, right? What is A Town Down Under? It's been 2 years. Why are they friends? Someone tell me. What, they're both cocky, so they're buddies? Or are they travel
The-
friends?
to,
Do
to
they
your to
drive
your
together? What
so
when do
to
they
your
hang out?
point
What do they have in
to
common?
your point to your point though, I think there are men's tag teams in the WWE. I just don't think they have a lot of like traction to
I
their
mean,
names. Like
which ones? They broke up all the good
but
ones?
I mean yeah, I mean you have well the thing is this though, like all right, Sammy and KO are a tag team because of the storyline and them
Which
having,
made
you
sense,
know, the
but
bond or
they're
whatnot.
not now.
But like they're also you can argue they're probably better as individual solo stars than them being a tag
RK
team.
Bro
You know,
was awesome too.
yeah,
Like,
but one dude is a mess. But my
I
bad, I ain't
know,
mean to
I
curse.
but that's kind of my point is like if we look at the tag team division over the last 5 years, it's the
But I
Usos,
mean, you got the
it's
Usos are gone now.
yep, New Day.
You know, the New Day is Big E
They
getting
broke
hurt
up Imperium.
harmed a lot of that.
They
That's a
broke
dumb
up
one.
Alpha
Yeah,
Academy.
I mean, like I said, bro, tag team wrestling like is just not a hot commodity and like on all
It's brutal to me.
companies, in my opinion.
I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but I did love this match personally. And with the whole tag team conversation, Anthony, I know you have thoughts on all of this. How do they fix this problem with tag teams when it comes to both men's and women's divisions, whether it be NXT or the main roster? And on top of that, just your thoughts on this was a really cool match that featured six really, really talented women's wrestlers. And to me, the division is established here. We have three good teams.
Unfortunately, I don't think a general audience really cares.
Yeah.
They've tried these tag titles a few times. The only company that's ever been able to do it successfully, and I don't even know financially successfully, is probably TNA. They've been the only ones consistently that's been able to do that. I think WWE would be better off, personally, doing a secondary mid card women's title on both brands, like the Intercontinental in the US, like they're doing with the North American title. Personally, I think they have a much better chance of building that as opposed to the women's tag titles. I feel that as a whole, they created them just to say they had them. There was no real major commitment from the get go, and a large portion of that is, at the time who was running it was not a fan of tag team wrestling. So if he's not pushing the guys tag titles, why would anybody think he would suddenly get behind the women's tag division when he barely got behind the women's division? So I know that's changed now, but again, that's kind of been tarnished over the years. So I don't know if there's enough of an appeal in order to make that work as a whole. It'd be great if they did, but I just don't see them doing it. There's only so much TV time and only so much they could showcase in any given week. And I just don't think they have the time nor the commitment to really make this something that's interesting to a larger portion of the audience that would financially benefit them, to incentivize them to do something like that.
While I do hear that, I don't know that there's that big of difference with the singles division and the tag
I mean,
thing on the women's
them,
side
but
when it comes to
the
that.
thing is this though. I don't see a reason why they combine the titles on NXT and the women's tag team titles. I feel like you could have, like, you have there's a lot of women on that roster that you can book them
Yeah.
within the tag team. I mean, we did it today, and they're tag teams like Jasmine Nix, JC Jane, like they're a tag team. Metaphor is a tag team. Um, you got more listed there as well. Cora
I
and
kind of find it
Roxanne was a
funny, like
tag team at a point.
it's like hindsight's always 2020, but we spent the spring talking about inflated rosters. And then I feel like we spent a lot of the early summer talking about like, well, there's no competitors for this division, for this title. What
Um,
cross promotionally?
just
I mean,
like
I'm not
it's
even
like
talking
sport. It's like
NXT
sports
in
though.
general.
It's like
It's
sport though,
weird.
bro.
It's super
People get hurt.
cyclical. And no, I agree. And that's a huge
That's
part
why
of it
depth
too.
is needed.
Injuries is a huge part of it as well. But it is funny to me, right? Like it very recently we were talking about, like, oh, the rosters are too bloated. Well, now we're starving for extra competitors in certain title pictures and whatnot, or we're complaining about too many belts. I'm not totally sure on all of that. That's a broader conversation for another time.
Yeah,
I
we
think
we we
for
could we
sure.
could spend all day on that.
Let's
We gotta,
let's
yeah.
go back to singles competition. Let's talk about Kalani Jordan, our new NXT North American Women's Champion.
Mhm.
Absolutely shout out Kalani
Queen, put the
Jordan.
crown on for her.
Huge win, awesome, and great first title defense against Mia Yim. I liked all of the shenanigans involved and everything involved in it. Kalani Jordan can really go. This is a match that stretched
Yeah.
longer than I expected through multiple
Hmm.
commercial breaks. And dang, did she look like a veteran in that ring. She looked like the NXT Women's North American Champion. Shad, your thoughts on that? And super cool. We've watched this entire arc story wise develop. How
Uh,
awesome is it for Kalani?
bro. I mean, if anyone knows me, as long as I talk on all of the podcasts, whether it be daily, whether it be off the air, whether it be Sunday Night Spotlight, I'm a big proponent on emphasizing the importance of women's wrestling. I feel like women's wrestling is so important to the, like, just landscape of everything, and that's why I love NXT, because the showcasing of it, and like you said, they gave these women a long, hard fought match, and it benefited both of them. It one gave Kalani a solid first defense versus a person who's been in the industry for a while. Someone who's battle tested, has gone through the ringer in NXT, and has been on the main roster, and is on the main roster at the moment, in Mia Yim, and it makes her look more credible as a champion because Kalani Jordan is so young and so raw as a character in a sense, but the in ring ability is like it's second to none. She's one of the best women's in ring competitors on NXT at the moment, and she shows you that. And having a dance partner like Mia Yim, who's a veteran, who also benefited herself, got to remind people why she's good at this. Why she's, it's not fair that we don't get to see her wrestle as much on SmackDown. You have someone like that, you utilize them, you put them in that position. They had a great bout. A little bit of a screwy finish with OTM and Jada Parker continuing that, but that's fine because I think that's also another element that's going to benefit Jada Parker and Mia Yim because Mia Yim's got to show, a side of being a character as well, and I think it's starting to gel. So I love it. I'm excited for the Kalani Jordan North American era, and we'll see what goes on with it.
Also, I want to shout out Mia Yim. The new ring gear and the new role on
She looks
NXT
great.
here, she looks reinvigorated. She looks as good as she's looked in the ring in so long. She was awesome
Yeah,
on the other end of this match with Kalani. I really, really appreciated that. Anthony, were you on the same page when it comes to that with Mia Yim?
Yeah, as a whole, I do want to talk about Kalani Jordan at first.
Yeah.
She in a lot of ways is like Javon Evans. Like they found this really unique young talent, and she is developing very quickly. She is a future in this industry on the main roster. At some point, she is going to take that torch and run with it, without a doubt. Mia Yim is one of those underrated talents. She never really has gotten really the push that she should probably deserves. In a lot of ways, she is like a Natty Neidhart or Ethan Page, like I was talking about earlier, in the sense that she can make talent look even better just being in the ring with them. It's the little things that you don't notice. So if the company's getting behind Kalani Jordan, Mia Yim made her look even that much better. And Kalani's phenomenal, but when you have a veteran like Mia, she knows how to accentuate that stuff. And that's what we saw tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. I would like to see Mia get used more than just the job person. Whether or not they would legitimately get behind her, I don't know, but the talent's definitely there.
I love that. Kalani Jordan is in shout out Michigan State. Go Sparty, no doubt, because she's a blue chip prospect in every way. I love what you said about her. It's obvious, and it's funny because it wasn't necessarily at first when I first started covering Kalani and covering NXT and doing these off the airs, Shad. Like I'll admit it. Like it's not that I was ever skeptical, but I just wasn't sure who she was.
So
and like
you don't ever know too, like just off of the
yeah,
initial because they throw a lot of like people that we don't know at all, and for certain we're not supposed to know them. We're not in the industry of professional wrestling where we follow them. But and that's the beauty of it. You get to see who really wants it and who doesn't want it, right? And who rises to the top. And she's, her, Jada Parker, Lash Legend,
yep.
like these girls really want it, and you see them rise to the occasion when given the opportunity.
Okay, speaking of things that people want, let's talk about something that I don't think I want. I don't think you want. I don't think Anthony wants. I don't think anybody wants, other than maybe Wesley, and that's Obafemi. I don't
Yeah.
want Obafemi if he doesn't know I'm coming. I don't want to have if someone said, here's the deal, you get one sneak attack on Obafemi and then it's you and Oba one-on-one. I'm out. I don't think even with the sneak attack that I could possibly mount enough offense in that short amount of time to make anything relevant. But Wesley apparently
Mm-hmm.
believes he does. He doesn't necessarily even think he needs the sneak attack. He's going to freaking wrestle him one-on-one. I don't know how
Love it.
crazy you have to be to do so, but if you are that crazy, your name's Wesley this week. We found that out the easy way because Obafemi looked him in the eye one too many times for me. It scared me, and I didn't even have to look at him. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like Obafemi, his it. We talk about aura. We talk about the it factor. We talk about stuff like that in wrestling all the time, right? And there's been this comparison to Omos because of the background
Mm-hmm.
of the two. What Obafemi does when he walks into a room is
Yeah.
different. It's not about size. It's
A
not
lot
about
different.
anything. He walks into a room and everybody pays attention for a
Mhm.
reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is a bad, bad man. Like, and he continues to deliver on the microphone. That's where I'm most blown away.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm most blown away. This is a bad dude. And it's few words, but every single one's impactful. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the brilliance. And there's the physical intimidation. There's all of that. Wesley's standing up to him. This was the best they could do. It's so funny because all week on multiple shows, and I'm sorry, I promise I will end this rant and toss it to somebody else here soon. But all week
Good.
we talked about, you know, Obafemi triple threat. It was all over the internet on multiple shows. I was asked about it on Mailbag, right? Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Obafemi, are they putting him in triple threats to protect him? No, they're putting him in triple threats because it's impossible to find somebody on the other end that's believable.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley's as close as we can humanly get that's available right this second. And God bless Wesley for that. But dead seriously, I'm so excited
Love
for the
that.
singles match because they're going to tear the roof off the place, is my belief.
For that.
And that's why Wesley's in that spot. But if you see that stare down and you don't know who, and you don't know why, and you don't know where, and you don't know when, and you don't think Obafemi is going to steamroll him, then you don't have eyes. And that's
He's
the
not gonna steamroll
craziest part
him.
about the whole thing to me. No, he's not. But my point is, aesthetically, it's almost impossible to put somebody opposite Obafemi and make it believable. It's on Wesley to do
Yeah.
so. And I think he did a really good job at starting tonight. And I'm excited about the singles thing. Shad, sorry, after my full rant, I'm going to go straight to you.
Nah, you're good. You're good. And I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I mean, the guy's an imposing threat. I mean, we talk about it every week since he's joined NXT. Like he tallies everything, and just to kind of rebuttal those who will try to make some asinine take saying that only protecting him in triple threat matches, it don't you can't be bad or need protection if you're having multiple possible matches of the year. Like you're a strong component of it, as well as the fact that you won it. So the guy is talented and he can wrestle one-on-one matches. He has wrestled one-on-one matches that have been solid bouts. Um, Wesley makes the most sense as the next competitor because Wesley has something that can drive a force and make anything uh seem real, and that's heart, bro. He's got heart. He's a guy who we've seen him come up through trial and tribulation. He's one of the best North American champions in the era of NXT, and it's one of those cases where the fact that he loves this and he cares about that belt so much sells you that this may be that Cinderella story. This may be that David and Goliath story where he can overcome the giant that is Obafemi. And it's going to be a fire match because Wesley is a guy that is literally putting a stipulation on his behalf where if he loses, he can't fight for what he loves the most, that North American title, and that gives you any shadow of doubt that he might be able to beat Obafemi. You know that I'm not picking him to win. I got Obafemi winning, but
Yeah.
he'll sell you a ticket for it, and I'm excited for it, man, because Wesley's a guy who's criminally like just underrated in a lot of sense to me, man. Like I've enjoyed him so much in NXT. You know, with MSK. I mean, obviously the Rascals and then having his tag team partner stripped away, and literally having to go from the mud and rebuild himself as an individual single star. It's been amazing to watch. So I'm excited for it. I got Oberfin winning, and I think it's going to be beneficial for Wesley too, because I think the NXT Championship route is good for him, or possibly going to the main roster. But I'm hyped for it, bro. I'm super psyched, and I love the moment between both of them in the segment.
I really like the promo myself too, but at the end of the day, man, Obafemi catches flying human beings like it's his day job. Like he
It's
he
hard, bro.
redirects their flight pattern like he's a flight simulator at a Dave and Buster's. It's just like
It's, I'm telling you,
it's
it's hard, bro. It's hard. The Giants beat that Patriots team in the Super Bowl, man. It's hard.
yeah.
Sometimes heart can get you through it. He'll sell. I ain't picking him to win, but he could sell you a ticket that he could possibly win, and that's a that's a legacy win for Obafemi as the North American champ in a one-on-one setting,
I
beating
agree. I think
uh
that's the key is to have,
yeah.
to your point, to have him taken to the brink by somebody that could maybe get him. The next one, though, we need somebody that can stand in front of him, and you're not afraid that their head may be separated from their body after the match, right? Like, because at the end of the day, I agree with you. Wesley could win this match. He's the underdog. That's who he is. That's his character. And this match is going to be awesome. And it's going to display the
Yeah.
singles competitor that Obafemi can be. But what
Yeah.
I would be really, really interested in seeing if they can dig up somebody to stand in front of Obafemi where you're not like, he's going to separate him from consciousness. Like,
It may have to be on the main roster or something.
I know Braun Breaker is about the only guy I could think of when it comes to
Yeah, but they ain't
availability,
gonna
and
do
he ain't
that.
going down. Dijak would have been outstanding. I'm
Dijak
wondering
would have been a
though.
good one.
This is an interesting thing, and really quickly before we do our moments of the night, I gotta ask Anthony about this one too because just thought about this. We've been seeing these weird little that guy getting arrested in the background, large dude Brooks Jensen. Maybe. No?
I don't see anything in Brooks Jensen, to be
He's
honest with you.
6'7". He's at
And
least the same size as
almost
Obafemi.
is like 8 foot. Is he any good?
It's a good point. I actually think Omos is better than people give him credit for. Satnam Singh, if we're talking.
Regardless,
Omos
my
gonna be
point being,
Omos
size doesn't necessarily
puzzle.
institute talent.
No, but I'm thinking for legitimate challengers to Obafemi.
Just off of stature, like off of body, is that what you're basing it off of, or?
Well, I don't know if they're trying to go somewhere character direction wise, like he's deranged and he's out there messing with people and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's something that you can tell a story where maybe it's believable that it's a guy that could. I find it hard to believe that anybody on the NXT roster can beat Obafemi at anything. Like Wes Lee's an absolute stud. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get his head taken off. The match is going to look better than that. They will tell us a story. But I want to see something believability-wise. Obafemi's inspired me on that end when it comes to the creativity part of it. Who do you put opposite that guy? It's almost impossible, right? On a poster? I think that's why we talk about like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. That's why it was so tantalizing. Like
You want to get like Roman on or something like
no,
that?
but you know what I mean? Like Roman's like your only choice. Who do you put opposite of Obafemi and that's believable at this point? Because it's not. It doesn't exist.
I mean, it's gonna be like that as he was title reign. You want him to be the champ for a little while, and then he might be a double champ at some point, and it might be a case where he just retires the titles off and then goes to the main. Like it could be like that. We'll just have to wait and see, really.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that it's fascinating that North American title picture and the history when it comes to the North American title in NXT and what former North American champions have become. I mean, the sky to me is the limit for Obafemi when it comes to that. Like I know I've now taken more than enough time to talk about how great I think he is. Let's get into our moments of the night, though. Let's talk about our moments of the night. Anthony,
Mhm.
moment of the night on NXT tonight. What do you got?
The further opening of the door for TNA talent being used in NXT. Obviously we haven't really seen guys come over from TNA. It's been women both times, Mickey James, and obviously Jordan Grace, and the brief appearance by Ash. Um, but other than that, the only TNA talent we've ever technically seen cross that line was technically Ric Flair for the Hall of Fame induction years ago. Technically, he was under contract, but like this is the first time we've really seen TNA talent get used, and I think we're getting closer and closer to that possibility of possibly that Worlds Collide show because it seems like they are willing to continue on this partnership, and as a wrestling fan, it's exciting.
I agree. I think it's really exciting, and I mean, unavailable avenue, forbidden door. What was it? By the way, you had a third one.
Prohibited
Shut.
portal.
Prohibited portal was a good one too. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see that opened up. What was your moment of the night, though, Shotty?
My moment of the night is something that is kind of a continuation as we go into these weeks, and it's also been an outlier on social media. But it's everything kind of tied with this whole Brooks Jensen storyline. Obviously, when Obafemi and Wesley having their promo exchange, we saw him in the stands, and we saw him get carried out and like dragged by the security guards during Eddie Thorpe's um, promo outside. We saw him getting arrested. It's one of those cases where they're really doing a good job where he is just crashing out and he's kind of on his last leg of whatever it may be, and he's not getting his opportunity being on NXT, and he's going against it. It's an intriguing storyline, and it's intriguing because we do have this Forbidden Door, and we do have TNA. I'm interested to see if this is a exchange, if this is an opportunity to let Brooks Jensen be an NXT talent, work in TNA for a good period of time. You know, refreshing himself, mixing it up with different people, finding a new creative character. It's intriguing, and maybe it being some sort of like coming back as a TNA guy, signed to NXT, and creating that Worlds Collide. Maybe he could be catalyst of it. There's a lot of interesting counterparts to it, but everything that he's kind of done has been interesting to me. All of his cryptic tweets, videos, so I'm enjoying it. So my moment is definitely Bruce Jensen and all his chaos on the in the stands and getting locked up outside.
I
don't like
like it.
saying
I
I don't.
like it
I
too.
ain't happy about people getting locked up, but regardless, for him,
I
it's
think
the
he's got
same.
a shot though. No, see, it's funny because that's why I didn't mean to spoil the fun on that one earlier, but I do
No,
actually
you did.
see
It's all good.
see some heat on that one only
That's all right.
because it's like it's one of those things where like, I think we saw something similar like out of Lexus King in our future. And to get it out of Brooks
Mhm.
Jensen is it's kind of funny. In a weird
I
way.
like it a little. I like it a little bit more because I think it is more of a darker. Not
Yeah.
like when I say darker, not spooky, but it's like it's real life. You know, people go through depression. People He's hitting the bottle, doing stuff like that, like
I
kind
was
of
gonna say it's got
kind of
parallels though. Drew,
similar to the Corbin. That so it's kind of like the Hangman Adam Page thing, right? Remember when he
that too.
got out of the Elite and was going through his drinking stuff and was with the Dark Order, like kind of similar to that in a sense, or like even like a more serious version of the Baron Corbin stuff. So
Yeah.
broadcast Corbin.
I hear that for sure. But I mean, yeah, no, I even see like the current Drew thing, not the quitting part, but like the like
Yeah.
fed up. I'm done. I'm done with this.
Hmm.
I'm not the second guy in my team. I'm not I'm about to, in no disrespect, but like I'm not Tucker to Otis, right? Like I'm not,
Yeah.
that's not who I am. No. Don't you do that to
Yeah,
me.
a lot of that is tied with him because he's the third fiddle. He's not even the second fiddle. The
Right.
first fiddle is Fallon Henley,
And you're looking
second
at
is
Fallon,
Josh
yeah.
Briggs, and then it was it. Yeah.
And that's the key is, and both abandoned him. So not just one.
Hmm.
So to have
With
the to
success.
snap like that, I love the storytelling aspect. And that's where I think, I mean, you're looking at a guy this is a big dude, big athletic dude that could be really good bell to bell. Like he's Dijak size. Think about that. And it's not
Yeah.
all about size. It's not all about that. But like, we
He
forget about how
couldn't
young he
beat
is.
Rio, but he couldn't beat Rio in a match, but it's all good.
It's not about that shot. This
I'm
isn't a
messing with you, bro.
size. This isn't a size thing. My point is that he's athletically gifted. Either way,
Nah,
let's talk
I'm
about
enjoying his work. Go
let's
ahead.
talk about my moment of the night, and that is the finish of the night. We got four absolute studs on the mat in the ring. This is the fatal four way to make. We got Javon Evans. We've got Trick Williams, the world champion. Oh, yeah. And then we got Sean Spears and All Ego Ethan Page. You told me this was going to be on a Tuesday night 6 months ago. I would have told you you're out of your mind. But guess what it was? On this Tuesday night, it happened. This is the fatal four way to make. This is the best way to challenge Trick for the title and to showcase TNA talent, despite the fact that Sean Spears technically isn't TNA talent, it still feels Forbidden Doorish because who in the world had on their bingo card Sean Spears as not Ty Dillinger, but as Sean Spears in NXT in 2024? I don't know if you did, but if you did, you're probably lying to me. I didn't. That's neither here nor there. The Fatal Four Way is the match to make. It makes the most sense. Javon Evans is on fire. We've broken him down over and over and over for a reason. Trick Williams, we know how over he got with the rivalry with Carmelo Hayes. Everything he's done on Tuesday nights, that's excellent. Sean Spears, I don't know about the direction since he's been back, but I've been excited about a lot of the stuff he's done. You insert him into anything, okay, I'll take it. This this is this is a really really good way to keep Ethan Page in the picture when it comes to this. And I'm cool with that. I like the Fatal 4-Way. I think it's the move. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on Fatal 4-Way action?
Eh.
World title.
I, I mean, it should be cool. I
Tag
don't
team
know.
match first.
It don't move me.
Get one along the way.
Uh, I don't. I don't know how to say this. I think I would like to see. I want to see Ethan Page have some sort of payoff with the metaphor stuff. I don't think it's fair that Noam Dar hasn't been given an opportunity to showcase in a main stage main event match because I think he's talented. So I think he needs to settle the score with Noam. And then I mean Sean Spears, I don't think he deserves to be in that main event match. He ate a lot of L's before that. Like me personally, I want to see Trick and Javon Evans go 1-on-1 and tear the house down at Heatwave. But I know to your point, it probably makes a little sense because Ethan Page and Sean Spears are both from Toronto or Canada or wherever it may be. So it's a homecoming
Canada,
in a sense.
the
But
United
as a
States of
fan, me
Canada, I believe, is what they're going by these days.
yeah, but
The
as a
home of the
fan, I would like
Mounties.
to see I would like to see Javon Evans and Trick get an opportunity to tear the house down on a card like that and let Javon like really shine more so in a one-on-one than it being a fatal four-way. But I mean, it's not like I wouldn't be. It'd be a dope match. I'd be down to watch it. But it's something that I'm like got my eyes glued to the TV for.
I do hear where you're coming from 100% on All Ego versus Garden Gnome Dar, but I will say I think Fatal Four Way is the play. I think it's the play for featuring the
It'll
NXT.
be a
I'm sorry,
good.
the TNA talent. It Gnome Dar doesn't have enough going. I like that story better, and I love Gnome Dar. You know that. You know how much I love
I mean,
Metaphor.
they rid him off.
They wrote him off. Yeah, they did. They did. They did. Anthony, what are your thoughts on it?
I'd rather see a three-way. I have no interest in seeing Sean Spears in a title match. Either a tag match or a three-way.
Oh, actually, that's fair. I think tag match first, maybe, and then you write Spears out of the story.
So
That
I
could
like
work.
the tag match is cool just because it's two
That could
old
work.
AEW guys versus the NXT guys. But like, yeah, I swear I'm not trying to hate on Sean Spears. I think Sean Spears is solid.
Well,
But
I
like
just
He's
thought
he's
not.
the
He's
like
not a
image.
main eventer.
I just thought the image
yeah.
of the four made so much sense in a fatal four
No,
way.
it was cool.
See, for me, it's weird because I think the NXT thing, like, as much as there's been a lot of complaints about, like the Obafemi stuff with the triple threats and all of that, with NXT, this is where you do stuff like Fatal Four Way. You put a bunch of people in there and you make something happen.
But by the way, as far as the
For
Obafemi,
sure.
the being protected thing, because I didn't get to say it because you were pushing the Brooke Jensen thing.
My bad.
I was on the show with you when somebody threw in that question, and
Yeah.
I said it didn't protect them. The only person that gets protected in a three-way with Obafemi is his opponents because he has someone else to go after while you can
Yeah.
hide in the corner. That's the only person that gets protected in a three-way with Obafemi.
Yes. It's
And Sean again with this whole thing, he's an expert of doing the David versus Goliath thing. Some of
Yeah.
his best matches were against the Undertaker. So Wes against Oba should deliver a solid match, but Oba is
O-
somebody that
Open and Dragon Lee was a good match.
you hold Oba
yes.
holding that title until either one of two things happen. Either somebody comes along and you want to get them over while you move Oba over, or Oba vacates it because no one could beat him, and then he goes to the main roster looking for real competitors, Gunther, Braun Breaker, Roman, whatever.
Well, that's like the one that it's funny because obviously it's too late now, but Oba Dragonov would have been.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you could get that on the main roster.
we'll get it down the road for sure. But I love that insight there, Anthony. You're dead spot on. And yeah, who's gonna beat Obafemi? I don't know. Not anybody anytime soon, as far as I'm concerned. Although I am still excited for Wesley, like you said, and Sean will get that right, as will Wesley. That does bring us to the end of tonight's show, though. We appreciate everybody that tuned in. As always, monster shout out. If you haven't liked them and subscribed, please do tune in every Tuesday night immediately following NXT. Check us out also on the daily broadcast. That's going to be noon Pacific tomorrow. That's going to be 3 in the East Coast. That's 8 in the UK. That's 9 a.m. in Hawaii. Thursday, that's going to be 3 o'clock. Push everything back 3 hours. Check that out. We got all kinds of good stuff going on this week. Everybody have an awesome Tuesday night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to everybody soon.